you have a field of color between it and what you're trying to select. So with this one, if I click again, and you can see that it's seeing the edge of that color. And it's kind of guesstimating where I want to select around, because there's a nice clean border between the two. See how it's like, okay, I see where you're heading. I see what you're doing. And the magnetic lasso tool does a fairly decent job. You'll notice here it didn't quite get all of that piece of Tom, but it's not bad. Okay? And then the third group of tools are your magic wands. Now, the magic wand is very good for broad color. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to this layer. Switch over here. And all I'm doing to switch back to that arrow tool is I'm pressing the command key right next to the spacebar. On a PC, I'm thinking it's probably the control key. I won't swear to it because I haven't messed with that. So what the magic wand does is it tries to find a big grouping of colors, similar colors. And it doesn't do too bad. I clicked it. When we got close to Jerry's cutaway here, it was having some trouble. It's like, I don't know. These are a little bit too far. When it got to this faded corner, it's like, I don't know. Now, how does the magic wand know how much to take and how much to leave? So if we look at our options bar, you'll notice it's changed. See how it changes with the tools I select? Okay. There's this number right here called tolerance. This is how picky or not picky the magic wand is. So let's say, oh crap, I didn't want all of that. I wanted just a small portion of it. Well, you can turn down the tolerance. The less the number, the more picky it is. So if I knock this down to 10 pixels tolerance, I'll deselect, select this layer. See, now it is being extremely picky. And it is only picking what I just, the bare minimum. But if I up that to say 50, and now click on it, it went all the way to the corner, and it went all the way to the edge of Jerry's house. So it didn't hesitate to go all the way to the most extreme contrast. And now I have that perfectly selected. So the magic wand is handy for large fields of color or value. Now under the magic wand is this thing called the quick selection tool. And it's very similar to the magnetic lasso. You just click, hold, and drag like you're mowing grass. And it will start to grab extras. And then as you get close to Tom here, you just kind of push it. Again, it's better for large fields. I was on the wrong layer. Did all that work for nothing? There we go. Okay, now see, it kind of messed up a little bit, but it's trying to eat into too much of Tom now. So sometimes it takes too much. All right? I'm going to show you for all, and this is true, this will be true for all the selection tools, how to mess with this, how to fix that problem. And then there's an object selection tool, and this has to do more with things like smart objects and things like that. There's not really, there's no object to select. So it's having trouble seeing anything. Okay, now for all three, this tool and its brothers, this tool and its brothers, and this tool and its brothers, there is a trick. Two tricks. Number one, you can add to a selection after you've made it. So let's say with the marquee tool, I select this much of that background on that layer. And that layer is there. Okay? And I'm like, oh, I need more. I want more of that. What you do, if you can see here, I'm gonna press and hold the shift key, and you'll notice at the bottom of that gun sight, a little plus sign appears. And what that says is I can add to my selection by holding the shift key. I can add more to it. And now I've got a larger selection. Let's say, oh crap, I took too much, or I don't want this part with this spot in it. I just want this nice thing here. If I press and hold the Option or Alt key, I get a minus sign. And then I can deselect a region, and now my selection is smaller. The same is true, and this is a mix and match thing. You could do this with, oh, I want to select more of this. Well, I can begin drawing an organic and add to the selection. Or I can hold the and that was holding the shift key. Or I can hold the Alt or Option key and say, no, I changed my mind. I don't want that part. And now it's removed the selection. You can mix and match tools. If I wanted to use the magic wand and hold the plus key to add to the selection, it does it. If I want to delete from this selection, and again, now the magic wand's got that high tolerance. Well, it deleted everything but the edge border. Let's say I want to get rid of that too. I can hold the Option Alt key again and say no pixels were selected. There we go. It got rid of them all. I can mix and match and say, well, we were doing this with the quick selection tool here on Tom. I'm gonna just mow my grass in there, and it's like, oh, okay, but it got crazy and it did too much. So if I want to, I could get my Lasso tool and hold the Alt Option key and say, we're gonna deselect that hair there. Okay, and we're going to deselect this piece of fur here. But I want to add, I'm going to hold the shift key now. I want to add in a little bit there. And I want to add in just a touch there. And that's how you can clean up one of the quick selections mistakes. So now if I were to copy, cut, I've got a pretty clean, there's a little bit of that baby blue still back there, but I get a pretty clean cutout of Tom from the background. Obviously, the more complicated and detailed the background, the more difficult that becomes. Okay, so those are the selection tools. You have a crop tool. Now the crop tool crops the entire image, not just a layer. If you want to crop a layer, you want to use your selections. The crop tool does the whole image. Doesn't matter if there's 100 layers, it'll crop them all off. All right, perspective cropping, we'll get to that later. And then these are those slice things I was telling you about that are very old and outdated, and don't touch them. Now, I just realized your toolbar may not be the same as mine. Don't freak out. Remember these 3 dots here. We can customize our toolbar as needed. So I can actually pull those slice tools out. Now this next tool, the frame tool, this is more for, again, web building, or sometimes even page layout building. It says here, it creates a placeholder frame for images. Images that you haven't put in there yet. So for web builders, this is a good thing to do basically the skeleton of a website or a mobile app before they have all the content to put in it. The eyedropper. You all know the eyedropper. That's how you grab your color. But under there, it's like eyedropper 3D material. And then there's ruler tool, note tool, count tool. Don't worry about those. Really, the eyedropper tool out of all of these is the only one you'll ever need to worry about. The next tool group is for repairing and fixing minor to medium damage on photography or an illustration. These are tears, age spots, discolorations, things like that. Now, with something like that, so let me go find an old damaged photo real quick.